Hi, this is The Flower of Freedom by Deborah J. Reeves, and that's me. I just wanted to give another preface for chapter 73. Hans Schmidt is the name of a psychopath in this book. I learned a lot about this category of criminal in an education that included a master's degree in social personality psychology. It is my abiding hope that being more aware of this sort of person and that they truly exist will make everyone slightly safer. These people violate our best assumptions, and they get closer than they should because they are so slick. Charm, superficial charm, is characteristic of these people. You don't see them coming. You think they're nice guys. They're often nice looking. They just don't look like monsters the way we've all been conditioned to believe they would. The successful ones are frequently quite intelligent and good conversationalists. They're excellent at mirroring back whatever you would like to see in a friend. Hans represents this sort of psychopath that is most dangerous. He is organized and he is detail-oriented. So, having said that, I remind you that you can skip this chapter and go on to 74. You know enough now to follow the thread of what comes next, because in this chapter he kills 2 more people. Here we go. This is chapter 73, and it's called Hans in Overtime. I remind you that all rights to the book and to my presentation of it are reserved. Hans in Overtime. Hans walked past the bank, and he turned down the side street toward his most recent hotel. He went back in through the back door of the hotel, just as the police cars went by with their sirens blaring. Hans almost passed the bar, and then he decided to go in. He ordered a beer, and he sat in a booth toward the back so that he could observe the comings and goings. When the barkeeper brought over his lager, he asked to see a menu. He decided he was hungry, and so he ordered Wiener Schnitzel with mashed potatoes, fried onions, and sauerkraut. It was not as good as his mother's, but it was passable. His mother! Twice in one day he had thought of the old cow. He shook his head. He ate leisurely, and just before he finished the meal, the news report came on and said that a father had called the police because his son was missing. When the police went to where the boy was last seen, they found 2 mutilated bodies behind the arena where the son had been playing hockey. "Isn't that horrible?" said the barkeep as he cleared the table. "I want you to know that you're perfectly safe here. In all the years that I've worked in Zurich, nothing like that has ever happened in this area before." The barkeeper was mesmerized by the excitement of the drama, playing out so close to where he was. He kept the television focused on the news. Soon they showed footage of weeping parents and of the coach's dumpling wife who had all rushed to the scene. "It's hard to feel safe when things like that happen," Hans commented. "Was it near the hotel?" "Yes, not 2 blocks away, but I promise you'll be safe in this hotel. We've already locked the rear doors. Everyone must enter and exit through the front now. You are safe. Would you like to see our dessert menu?" "Oh, I wish I could, but I'm stuffed. I'll just pay my check now." "Shall I charge it to your room?" "No, I'll pay cash," said Hans, and he paid his bill and he left a hefty tip. People never cause trouble for people who are nice to them. especially if they're generous, he thought. Hans took the stairs up to the room where he had left his suitcase. He killed time until 8:40. Then he left the hotel room and went back down the elevator and out into the night, carrying his suitcase. There were cabs waiting in front of the hotel, and he selected the first one in line. He handed the cabbie a slip of paper with the address that was 1 block over from Klaus' house. They got there 15 minutes later. The streets were dark. Hans walked toward Klaus' house, and he was across the street when the night nurse left. She got into a junker on the corner, and the man who picked her up drove away. Hans ambled up the paved front walk, and he let himself in with the key. He turned on no lights in the house. He found the table in the foyer by the moonlight shining through the panels beside the door, and he marveled at Klaus' efficiency. The paper with the information Hans had given him was sitting on top of the gun so that Hans wouldn't forget to take it. There was the gun, just where he had been told it would be. Hans went into the kitchen and he noticed all the art was off the walls in the living room as he went by. There was no art hanging in the stairwell either. The art objects were all gone, and even the stands they had stood on were gone. That Klaus, Hans thought. He was always so efficient. When Hans got to the kitchen, he placed the suitcase on the table. He stripped naked, and he folded each article of clothing neatly. He zipped open his suitcase, and he put the clothing he had been wearing, including his outdoor wear and his boots, into the suitcase. He patted the manila envelopes that he had taken from the safety deposit box, and he repositioned it safely in the bottom of the suitcase. He took out the new underwear, the socks, and the tracksuit. He put the house key into the trouser pocket. He laid the clothes on top of the suitcase after he took out the new ski jacket, scarf, and gloves and hat, and he placed them on the back of the chair, pleased that he had removed all the tags at the hotel. He positioned new shoes on the floor, ready to step into. He was ready, except for one thing. He checked the revolver, and the chambers were full. He walked quietly down the basement stairs to the bedroom on the lower level. He fired 2 shots into the head of the terrified girl. Then he turned and he walked upstairs, past the kitchen and up to the 2nd floor. He went through the double doors to the master suite, and he walked quietly to the bed. Klaus was lying on his side. Hans was surprised when Klaus spoke. "No long goodbyes, old friend. I'm so grateful that you are a man of your word." Hans picked up the pillow, laying behind Klaus, and he shot his friend to death. He laid the revolver on the bed after wiping it down with the pillowcase. He turned and he found the bathroom on the other side of the room. Methodically, he turned on the shower, washed his hair, and soaped down his body. He dried himself with an exquisite Egyptian cotton towel. When he felt dry, he wrapped the towel around his waist. He used Klaus deodorant and cologne. The guy always did have great taste, he mused. He walked, wearing only the towel, down the stairs and into the kitchen. He dressed in the clothing he had laid out, and he folded the towel that he enjoyed so much, asking himself what that color would be called. Gunmetal gray, he decided. He put it into the suitcase. Klaus won't be needing it, he thought. He put on his new ski jacket and hat. He let himself out into the quiet night as he wrapped the scarf around his neck. He locked the door with the key in his pocket, and he drew on the gloves. Carrying his leather suitcase, he walked to the parking lot that Klaus had assigned. He knocked on the window of the running car. The man let down the window, and Hans said the code word, Paris. The man took Hans to the airport for his flight to Mexico City. That's the end of chapter 73. The bad guy is finished for the time being. I hope to see you again at chapter 74, which is called Hospital Reception. As always, I'm